In 1 John chapter 2, verses 3, 4, and 5, John says this, "And by this we know that we have come to know him, if we keep his commandments. Whoever says, 'I know him,' but does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, in him truly the love of God is perfected. By this we may know that we are in him." So John is now moving on to the light of the knowledge of God and the fellowship of it. Because the fellowship is about, if it's about knowing, then this must mean intelligent, not just holy. It is intelligent that it may be holy. A holy God is a wise God. About knowledge, about knowing. So the question that we have then is, well, what is that knowledge? What is that knowing? And how is it to be got hold of and made sure of that we do not doubt our fellowship with God? It's got to be more than a feeling or an emotion. It's got to be based on an intelligence and a knowing. So John tells us about finding out how we get hold of this intelligence, this knowledge, this understanding, and how we can be sure that we have it. So in verse 3, John wants us to be sure that we know that we have come to know God the Father, not just in a feeling or an emotion, which we all know that feelings can be good one day and not so good another day. It's based on fact, on knowledge, on an intelligence and intellect, so that we are not living with that uncertainty and doubt. He wants us to be able to say for sure that we are living in the light of the fellowship of God the Father. He in us and we in him. And so therefore we can be assured of our salvation. So somebody comes along and says, how can you be sure that you're saved? And you can say, I know, because I know the Father. So an example may help us understand what John is getting at when about doubt, especially about knowing someone. Think upon this. We've known someone as a friend for most of our lives. Okay? We've spent time with them, we've listened to them, we've learned from them, we think highly of them, we tell others about them in a good way. We think we know them as well as we know ourselves. They're like maybe a brother or a sister to us. And then someone comes along and says something like this, but do you know that you know him? Do you really know him? You say you know him, but are you really sure? And maybe as soon as they ask these questions to us, maybe we begin to doubt ourselves. Do we now think that maybe this person knows something about our friend that we're not aware of? And maybe we question, do we actually know my friend then? Or because it's something I don't know? Because otherwise, why would they be asking if I really do know my friend? What do they know that I don't? And so when John says, and by this we know that we have come to know him, then does this then raise some doubt in us that we maybe don't know him? We're not sure. I think that I'm in the Father, having a relationship with him, but am I really in him? And then we jump to verse 5, and maybe we have another doubt that goes along with this, because John says, whoever keeps his word, in him truly the love of God is perfected. And we think, well, now perfection means it's completed. Perfection means perfect. It's been thoroughly done. It's absolute. It's sure. And so it's saying, well, what has been perfected here is the love of God between God and us. the fellowship of love between the Father and ourselves, and we think to ourselves, well, do I keep the word of God so that I have this perfect relationship of the God to me? And so in these few verses 3, 4, and 5 of 1 John chapter 2, John wants us to make sure, absolutely sure, so that we have no doubt that firstly, we do in fact know God the Father, that secondly, that his love has completely and utterly indeed been perfected in us, and that thirdly, we are truly in the Father. So what we're going to find out over these next few days is that, yes, as believers, true believers, that firstly, we do in fact know the Father. That secondly, he loves us perfectly. And thirdly, that we have that relationship with him. So that when someone asks us, do you know God? We will be able to answer, absolutely. And this is such a blessing to us, such a privilege for us to have this standing with God our Father through his Son Jesus Christ as we keep his commandments, and to know that it is a good, true, and right relationship. And so for the next few days, this is what we're going to be looking at. So until then, take care and God bless.